Hello, my name is METİN ARIDAŞIR. This is for the second part of explanation of my theory. In this evening, I will emphasize my single wave pulse and single wave pulse versus photon. This is the title. ARIDAŞIR's single wave pulses, ARIDAŞIR's single wave pulse versus photon. According to my theory and my formulas, as its source, light wave or single wave pulse cannot be seen directly. All light sources are electron motion forms. There are two kinds of light, except artificial radio waves, according to my theory. One of A. Free electron motion forms, successive waves. Free electron motion forms produce and propagate in chain connection successive waves, while free electron motion forms continue to produce and propagate them from the first cycle through the eternity. All successive waves continue interacting. B. Single wave pulse. Proton-bounded, proton-tied, single cycling electron motion form produce and push a single wave pulse. If you make proton-bounded electron motion form produce and push the single wave pulses successively and artificially as a laser, there will not be connections between single wave pulses. I recommend you step by step watching my former videos. Repeating and repeating, I have talked about single wave pulse and free electron motion forms, successive waves. Two. Single wave pulse produced and pushed by proton-bounded electron motion form at each period of its enlarging and shrinking at the rate of effective free electron motion form successive wave number. Again, single wave pulse produced and pushed by proton-bounded electron motion form at each its enlarging, this is absorption, and shrinking period. While shrinking, remember, it produces proton-bounded electron motion form, produces and pushes single wave pulse. Single wave pulse that, when it made by atom-bounded, proton-bounded electron motion form, when it pushed from it through the eternity, it is enlarging at the speed of light. Okay. Three. Each of spectral lines in an atom represents a single wave pulse that occurs when a proton-tied, proton-bounded electron motion form that has a certain initial wavelength shrinks from n square greater n greater square multiplied by lambda EI to n smaller square multiplied by lambda EI. Remember this formula from former videos. I will not repeat again. I don't confuse your mind now. Okay. 4. If one single wave pulse passes two slits with its different surface parts, here, two slits. This is the plate, and single wave pulse coming on this plate, enlarging. Okay, this is the single wave pulse that produced and pushed by proton-bounded electron motion form at n equal to 1 cycle. Here. Then come in. Okay. This is single wave pulse. ARIDAŞIR. This is not photon. This is not a particle. You see, I guess, huh? Okay. Now, then, of course, single wave pulse, come in here, two slits, then yes, you say the photon makes interference itself. No. Here, single wave pulse divided two pulses after the two slits. Okay, because of single wave pulse. This is not a point particle. This is not a photon. Single wave pulse okay, enlarging through the eternity at the speed of light is single wave pulse versus the photon. Yes. Four. If one single wave pulses. I'm so sorry. Wait a moment. You mustn't say, now a photon here, and then. You cannot say this is superposition for a photon. For if one single wave pulse passes two slits with its different surface parts, then it can interfere with itself. This doesn't mean it is a superposition of single wave pulse. Single wave pulse meets the double slit surface as a single wave pulse. Then each different point of it that coincides with different slits starts to pass to make a new single wave pulses at the same energy value and at the same representative wavelengths. Then these two single wave pulses interfere with each other. 5. Free electron motion forms successive waves are connected themselves, this is important, through the first cycle axis of free electron motion form. So, if a free electron motion form ties bounds to other electron-like motion forms to make a joint cyclical motion, that means n will be always equal to 1 because it will not produce and propagate successive waves. Any of its successive waves cannot continue to enlarging through eternity, and all of its successive waves vanish instantly. This is so important. Because of this, all continuous spectrum light sources include C and B, and all successive wave sources must still be in their places with their sources. This is important for astronomy also. Okay. Here, free electron motion form, third cycle, n equal 1. Then, all successive waves, then n equal 2, n equal to 3, through the eternity, and while if it continues staying as a free electron motion form through the eternity, each of its successive waves, this is x of free electron motion form, this is axis, n equal 1, then n equal 2, connection, okay, because of first linear velocity, remember, 1,854,000 km per second. Then, when first cycle come in again, it will be added, this velocity will be added, axis, 2 multiplied by 1,884,000, etc. And multiplied by linear velocity, because of each one connected with the first. Okay, successively, each one instantly connected through the eternity with themselves. And when this free electron motion form meet another electron-like motion form, and when connected with it, okay, when connected with it, this is one of electron motion, this is another. Now, each cycle, single cycle, n equal 1, n equal 1, n equal 1, and from now on, it cannot produce and propagate successive waves. From now on, all before meeting new electron-like motion form and before making joint cycle motion form, former successive waves, when it do that, when it meets another one and connected with it, all of successive waves instantly vanish. Okay, I mean that, but this is not for single wave pulse. Now, I would say for lasers, for example, according to my theory and my formulas. No. But for single wave pulses from the laser, as a kind of artificial waves. Each single wave pulse enlarges independently from former single wave pulse. So, in spite of the laser source stopping to produce and propagate, single wave pulses continue enlarging through eternity. I mean that. This is laser source, okay? Say, single wave pulse, pushes first one, then it is enlarging, and then second one, then say here. But when lasers stop, these single wave pulses will not vanish instantly. They will continue to enlarging through the eternity at the speed of light. Successive waves are anisotropic, but single wave pulses are not anisotropic. They are, I guess, isotropic. Because of, yes, I don't want to confuse your mind now. Wait a moment. But for single wave pulses from the laser as a kind of artificial waves, each single wave pulse is enlarged independently from former single wave pulses. So, in spite of the laser source stopping to produce and propagate, produced single wave pulses continue enlarging through eternity. 6. A single wave pulse corresponds to only the characteristic lines, emission and absorption lines. Successive waves correspond to the continuous spectrum or blackbody radiation spectrum also. 7. Each spectral line of an atom's spectrum is equal to a certain single wave pulse representative wavelength. 8. By enlarging from a point through the infinity, each spectral line series starting representative wavelength as single wave pulse wavelength is equal to n square multiplied by lambda EI initial wavelength of proton-bounded electron, n equal to effective successive waves number. Okay, like this. Through the eternity, from the eternity to first, okay, through the eternity to second, n equal 1, n equal 2. This is the sample for which one? Yes, 2278 nanometer. Yes, this is helium. Helium's spectral lines series, starting point series, okay, starting point. Look at that. N square multiplied by lambda EI. Lambda EI is equal to 22.78 nanometer for first proton bounded smallest electron of helium. Okay, remember from my former videos, according to my theory and my formulas. Okay, I mean this here. These lines are helium spectral series. Okay, and each one single wave pulses from eternity, say eternity, to n equal 1, from eternity to n equal 2, etc. Yes. 9. Free electron motion forms are anisotropic. Single wave pulse seems to me isotropic. 10. This is wrong to tell that the laser photon at a large wavelength collides head-on with nearest at speed of light electron, then it gains energy from the electron and backscatters as gamma rays. They say this is inverse Compton scattering, whereas according to my theory and my formulas, the fact that when the single wave pulse from a laser comes from the opposite side through the near the speed of light free electron motion form, and when this single wave pulse passes through the electron, this single wave pulse unblocks the magnetic force like curtain that prevented to produce and to propagate successive waves of this relocating free electron motion form near at the speed of light. Then at near speed of light free electron motion form will start to produce and propagate the successive waves, and in these conditions, in the direction of relocating, remember my former formulas, its successive waves wavelengths narrow to smallest value, lambda alpha equal to lambda n minus delta lambda cosine alpha, remember, as gamma rays. By the way, according to my theory and my formulas, laser light used Compton effect experiment must be failed. By the way, I say by the way, according to my theory and my formulas, laser light used Compton effect experiments must be failed or must be deviated. Okay? 11. You cannot say even in your mind theoretically that the light is capable of or has the potential to be at rest. If you are saying the photon is a particle, you have been assuming that the photon is theoretically can be at rest. Now the light, or say single wave pulse, is not capable of being at rest because the light is the motion itself. 12. For relocating electron motion form, for in motion electron motion form, for relocating electron motion form in the direction of motion, if you accelerate the electron, its waves narrow, then their touching energy increase. But for single wave pulse, you cannot add energy, say, by making it collide with the electron. Therefore, this is wrong to say gaining or losing energy for photons through colliding with electrons, that named inverse Compton scattering or Compton scattering. 13. If two white and characteristic rays of light are electromagnetic waves, how can they interact and how can they make interference? 14. Can lasers are used for atomic spectroscopy directly? I guess lasers are not capable of determining real atomic spectra. Real. I may be wrong, but I guess. Now, 15. Single wave pulses touching energy, representative wavelength, and I guess velocity, whether it's source, proton-bound electron, relocating or at rest, doesn't change in any direction, whereas relocating free electron motion form successive waves, touching energy, wavelength, and wave velocity change in any direction. That's why laser light, coherence light, and sunlight is incoherent light. Then finish, I guess I finished it. Yes. Good. Have a good evening. See you later.